Hey guys, SMZ here. We're back playing Raid Shadow Legends. And guys, Fire Knight Hard. This hard dungeon, when it first came out, it was a menace. It was so difficult to beat. But by now, with some of the champions that have been released into the game, especially one Dwarf Legendary, this dungeon has become quite manageable. Today I'm going to showcase 3 teams that you can use to farm this dungeon in relatively quick time. Stick around to the end of the video to see my own personal team that I use, which farms this in 13 turns as you can see. So, let's get into it. So the first team that I have for you guys is trying to use champions which are much more obtainable in a way. So you see this team immediately and you're like, what is he talking about? It has Kaimar. Not a lot of people have it. It has Padre, who's a crazy good champion, and it has this guy right here, Longbeard. But just hold on for 1 second. These are 2 ally attack champions, and you can replace them with any ally attack champions. You can use Farrakhan, and you can use Lonatharil. Farrakhan is an epic, rather easy to obtain comparatively. And then Lonatharil was a fusion. So if you did that fusion, you should have that champion as well. And you can also plug in Mikage here, who's actually really, really good. The thing that you need to look out for is they will be a bit dedicated to this dungeon because you should try to put Phantom Touch on them. The higher, the better. So I have both of mine in high Phantom Touch because that helps break the shield fast. So instead of Kaimar, you can replace her with Renegade, the rare champion. Actually, it's one of the few stages in which Renegade is much better than Kaimar because Renegade has that 3-hitter on her A2, which you can use at the boss. I'm using Kaimar because I have him in Phantom Touch as well as he can do some damage. So he just does it a bit faster. It does use Newt, but it uses a singular Newt and Yakarl, who's also a free to obtain champion from the clan shop. So how this team works, let's get into it. Let's start the run. So at the start of the run, we are going to start with an ally attack from Padrik because he will get round to back to it. Run takes a bit more. And the cool thing is Yakarl with his freezes, with his AoE freeze, controls this wave pretty nicely because these champions on the opposing wave, they can do some damage. So it's better if they're frozen. We move on to wave 2. Again, if you're using some of the champions, if you don't have the gear that I have, these waves will be a bit slower, but you should still be able to do them. So Yakarl just goes on freezing. You need to make sure that to save Yakarl's A2 here, and hopefully Padraig will get back to his ally attack by the time this wave is done. You can also build your ally attack champions for damage. Mine are not, but you can build them. So at the boss, we start with the ally attack from Padraig. The shield goes down to 10. Now the second ally attack. And this should break the shield ideally. And now Newt's AI has been changed by Plarium. So he does it rather easily, whether he wants to go for Blessed Bash or his A1. So he did the Blessed Bash. Yakarl stole the turn meter, not turn meter, but he froze and he put decrease speed. Kaimar reset and both ally attacks happen again. Boss's turn meter is going down because of that decreased speed. And basically now the turn meter is rather manageable. You need to make sure that Newt's A2 is turned off. That can cause issues. So he should either be doing A1 or his Blessed Bash. As I said, his AI has been tweaked by Plarium that it's kind of like Cold Heart. He tries to go for, by default, he tries to go for A1 when the shield is not down and then Blessed Bash. This run, not the fastest, but still it gets the job done. 1 minute 40 and 45 turns. So that's the first team. Let me quickly show the presets as well for this team. Padraig, as I said, ally attack at the start and then no other controls. On the second wave, save the ally attack and then ally attack should go priority 1. Longbeard, because I don't have him booked, I am not using his ally attack on the first or the second wave, and he just goes with number 1 priority on the boss. Kaimar is saving his reset on both the waves, and then on the boss, because he's the fastest, he opens up with his A1, and then he uses Seal of Magic on his second turn. It's nice to disable A2 because poisons, if the boss takes a turn, ideally we don't want him to take a turn. But if he does end up taking the turn, then at least we have some poison damage. There's one thing to watch out for here, and that one thing is that if your team is taking too long and his debuff bar fills up, the boss's debuff bar, with poisons, Newt can't land his freeze. So that is something to watch out for. If your team is slow, rather enable Abyssal Gaze so he does less Phantom Fire, or just build him with lower crit rate. Newt, at the start, I'm just saving his Blessed Bash, that's all, on the waves. And then here, I'm just disabling A2, and then I'm letting the AI do the job. As you saw, it goes for the A1 at the start when the shield is up, and then otherwise it'll prioritize Blessed Bash. Yakarl, I'm saving. To be honest, for the first wave, I don't need to save his A2, but it's fine if he starts with his A3. It's a AoE freeze. I need to save A2 for the second wave so that I can use it at the boss. The decreased speed is pretty clutch to make sure that the Kymar can get the reset done and the champions can go again. So that's the first team. Now let's look at the second team, which is going to definitely do it faster, but that's also because the second team uses 2 Newts. So if you are lucky enough to have 2 Newts, just replace Yakarl with the second Newt, and it will just make the team faster. So let's go. Everything will be pretty similar, but I think I have the ally attack disabled because they just kill the wave much faster with 2 Newts. They're both built for damage. So we should get through the first wave rather soon. 2 champions down. Third one down as well. Kymar keeps applying poisons. She does take a turn, but that's fine with the decreased attack as well from Newt's 8-2. That allows us to survive the hits. Moving on to wave 2. That's the trouble because the Fire Knight itself needs so many mechanics that it's difficult to bring up a fast wave clear, right? But still, in 20 turns, we are through to the boss, and here the strategy is going to be pretty much the same. Ally attack number 1, ally attack number 2 should break the shield by now. Yes. And now I have asked one of the Newts to do his A1 and the other Newt to go for the Blessed Bash just to make the run faster because 3 Blessed Bashes should kill him. Reset, ally attack again to reduce the turn meter basically all the way to the left. With the second ally attack, that should happen. We don't even need decreased speed because of the second Newt here. It's all the way back. Blessed Bash, and now the third Blessed Bash comes in and finishes the boss. This time round, it's 30 turns and just over a minute. So this has gotten much faster, and that was the team I was using for the longest time. I used to have Mikage instead of Longbeard, but I randomly pulled a 6-star soul for Longbeard. So that freed up my Mikage to go into Hydra, and Longbeard can now take the 6-star Phantom Touch, which really, really helps. So that's the team that does it relatively quickly. And now let's look at the third team, which is the team that I use. And it uses, you guessed it, yes, the horsey, Mr. Marius. The waves, as I just said, have been a problem for this boss because the boss requires so many mechanics. So what can do both wave handling and boss handling? Yes, it's your boy Marius. So Marius comes in instead of Kymar now, and my Marius has a really good build, so he does a lot of damage. And recently I've also put in Cat's Gaze on him, which makes it even better in a way. So let's see, this run will go even faster. So Marius gets his increased defense already. That means we don't need to A3. He kills the wave in 1 hit. And now I'm saving the A2, but he even kills it with his A1. We are through to the boss. Ally attack number 1. Down to 10. The shield stacks. Second ally attack should drop it down. Now the thing is, instead of the reset, because Marius does so much damage, and with both of my Newts, okay, this is actually a record. I was up to 13 turns. This was 12 because Marius killed the second wave with 1 hit on his A1. But this is a record on me filming the video. 12 turns, 35 seconds. This is crazy territory. And that's because of Marius. So that's my third team. These champions, Newt and Marius, they make basically all the dungeons super easy to farm in the end game. You do require end game gear, obviously, but they do make things extremely simple. Let's look at the champion stats then. So Marius, showed him previously several times. 9-piece Merciless, 6.4k defense. You'll notice the defense is dropped a little bit compared to previously when I've showed him, and that's because I've switched his relic to Cat's Gaze. 256 on the speed, 382 crit damage, and that crit damage improvement is because of Cat's Gaze. 355 on the accuracy to land his debuffs. And then I have 6-star Crushing Ren on him. Cat's Gaze, the level 12 should be even better on higher levels. Some of these gemstones also helps him tremendously. So 8% chance to reset a cooldown, which is great. 3% chance to ignore, or rather 3% defense ignore if under 2 or more debuffs, which is very often the case. And then stacking even more damage when he kills an enemy. These are just amazing gemstones for his relic. 6-star Rend, and these are the blessings with Helm Smash as tier 6. Longbeard, no masteries, Phantom Touch, no relic, very weird build, random gear thrown around, which is not even maxed. The only thing we're looking at is that he needs to be fast. He needs to be faster than basically your ally attack champions. Only thing he needs to be slower than is your reset champion, so Kaimar or what's her name, Renegade if you use her. So he is rocking 309 speed, and he doesn't need anything else. Really, he doesn't need anything else. The speed is the only thing that matters here. He's not even booked, like no books whatsoever. Newt number 1 is in Soul Reap. This is the slower Newt, so Soul Reap can finish the job. He's using Giant Slayer, this relic, which is a bit useful when it comes to the Chimera. That's where I've been using him a little bit. And then he's in Justin Lethal, and his stats are 6k defense, 313 on the crit damage, 254 speed. Notice he's a bit slower than Marius, and that's by design. Marius goes first, the other Newt goes after, and then this is the slowest Newt by one speed, and he goes slowest so he can proc the Soul Reap, and then 380 accuracy, obviously. Second Newt, very, very similar. Defense is a bit low, crit damage is also a bit low. The speed is 1 higher so that he can go before the Soul Reap Newt. And this Newt has Phantom Touch on his 4-star. I'd love to get 5 or 6-star at him at some point as well, so that he becomes even reliable. And then Mastery is again the Giant Slayer. Padraig, again, can be any ally attack champion, and the only thing you are looking for is high speed. Again, just slower than your reset, but faster than all the others. Padraig is in a build that allows him to also run in the Hydra, but again, here, only thing that matters for this team is the speed. That's it. He doesn't even land any debuffs. What else do I have him? Phantom Touch, as I said, on the supports, on your ally attackers, Phantom Touch is great. It allows to break the shield much better, and nothing else. Kaimar is the fastest. He is rocking 324 speed. 5k. I built him for damage as well, so he can help take the waves down. That's why you see him in a high crit rate, high crit damage, but that's not necessary. If you can afford it, that's great. He's not even wearing any ignore defense set on anything, because I do need his other stats, his speed and accuracy, to be enough to kill the boss. Phantom Touch and Helm Smasher again for dealing damage. And some champions are missing. Actually, only one, which is Yakarl. So Yakarl is in actually the Instinct set. You can use Savage, you can use Lethal, you can use Merciless, any damage set basically. But if you want, you don't even need to build him for damage. If you want to build him just for the speed and accuracy, you can, because his purpose is to put that decreased speed in the first team that I showed, and basically to keep landing the freezes. You will need to book him to increase the chance of landing the freeze. But yeah, he's an Instinct. He's rocking almost 6k attack. Not even fully crit rate maxed out. I should change that. 234 on the crit damage. Rather slow with 208 speed. Ideally, if I was using this team, I would build him up to around 250 speed to make it even better to decrease the turn meter of the Fire Knight with the freezes on his A1. With his A2, you will need to book out his A2 just to make it 100% chance to land the decreased speed and the freeze. and he is also in Phantom Touch. That's a recurring theme, as you can see. Ham Smasher on his tier 6 mastery. So, guys, that was the team. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this gives you some new ideas to make your teams a little bit faster, especially with the Marius run. That's the team I used, and with making the video, I actually got to a record time, which is great. So, thank you very much once again, and see you next time.